Hi everyone, and happy Wednesday, early February. So I just wanted to pop on for those of you who have been following my story. I know some of you are wondering what the heck I mean by health updates, and some of you are wondering why I haven't updated recently. So to answer both of those questions, if you don't know what's going on, I have a lump in my neck that you can see right there. If I pop it out the right way, if the lighting's good. And so I discovered this before Christmas, and then I went to my doctor in January, and then she sent me to an ultrasound that was not conclusive, so then she ordered a CT scan. So then we went to a surgeon, and then that surgeon sent me to a specialist because of the location in my neck. It's a very tricky location. It's near a lot of nerves that control my arm. There's a nerve there that controls my vocal cords. There's a lot of muscles there, and it's very close to my lung too. So there's a lot going on. So that surgeon sent me to a neck specialist surgeon, and I met with him this morning. So I kind of wanted to talk to you. I wanted to give you some updates there and let you know what was happening. And then I also wanted to talk about knowing your body and dealing with stress. And I think I'm going to do a whole podcast on this, like navigating these difficult situations, because it's been really hard, like harder than I expected. And I'm sure a lot of you are like, well, duh. But you know, it's been really, really stressful. And I think the stress has hit me a little bit more than I anticipated. So the surgeon this morning said that he wanted to send me to a pathologist, so someone that would take the biopsy. Hi, Sue. Someone that would take the biopsy and actually diagnose the same day. So that guy, it's really cool when you go to a specialist because they, they know their people. So I had initially had an order for a biopsy to go through Southview, the hospital, and I waited on that because I wanted to talk to the specialist first, which ended up being good because he said, hey, I want you to go to this guy. He can diagnose it the same day. He's really, really good. So waiting ended up being a good decision. But I got a phone call from them today, and they said they can't get me in until the end of February. So what I thought was maybe going to be resolved in 24 to 48 hours, having an answer and even a diagnosis, whether it's good or bad. Now I'm looking at the end of the month. So I called the doctor back, the specialist, and I said, hey, I may have misunderstood, but I had the impression that you wanted this to be a little quicker. So, can you let me know if you're okay waiting? If you're okay waiting, then that's fine. But let me know. Or do you want me to go another route? Like, do you want me to take the order from the hospital, or do you want me to find somebody else to do this? So that's kind of where I'm at now. It's kind of in a waiting phase, and I kind of wanted to talk about that, the emotional stress of things. And the thing is, here's the deal. I am very healthy, like extremely healthy. I just got all my blood work done, my volunteer, and I got volunteer blood work done in addition to a cancer panel. And it was great. Like, my numbers are super great. So that does a lot to calm our fears going into a biopsy and kind of going into this. But there's so much to be said for just not knowing and to have to wait and having that potential of either this could be absolutely nothing or it could be cancer, which is like the scariest thing in the whole world. And again, I'm not really necessarily afraid of the outcome. I'm totally confident in my body's ability to heal, in my ability to handle whatever comes, but it's that waiting thing. And so I kind of wanted to get on and talk about stress in your body, because if you follow me for a long time, you know that in my history, I have struggled with hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis dysregulation, so commonly known as adrenal fatigue. And that's one of the first things that, yeah, exactly, Sue, fear of the unknown. Hi, Kelsey. So that's one of the things that sort of triggered my current profession, digging into health and doing what I do in functional lab testing and optimizing your health, right? And so once your body knows, like whatever your weak link is, once you start having symptoms in that area, so some people, their weak link is adrenal fatigue, some people's weak link is maybe like, autoimmunity, whatever it is, you have a genetic predisposition, right? But it takes a lot of stress and triggers and all these other things to make those symptoms happen. But once your body sort of like knows how to go a certain way, it always knows that. And so for me, my tendency is adrenal fatigue. And what I've discovered over the years is that my big trigger is emotional stress. So physical stress, maybe not as much I can recover, and too much of that wouldn't be good, but emotional stress, high emotional stress, is what seems to be very difficult for my body to handle. And I think that's because I had a period of time in my life of about 6 to 10 years where I had so many acute stressors that were pretty significant over and over and over again that ended up putting me into adrenal fatigue, that my body was like, okay, I'm done. I don't like this way of living. And so when I experience high levels of emotional stress, my body can kind of then go into that habit of getting fatigued. So for me, like this past week, I've been really, really tired. Now, there's a combination of the high stress from earlier in this month and the continued stress of not knowing what's going on. And I'm about to start my cycle. So there's a little, like a tag team going on here of making me tired. But it's important to know your body, because then you can take the steps necessary to nourish your body and take care of yourself more. So whatever your triggers are, it's important to know what those are. Whatever your personal physical response is, it's important to know how to handle those situations and how your body does better. So just as an example, this morning I drank my little adrenal support tonic, which is like the most tasty thing in the world, by the way. It's like 4 to 6 ounces of orange juice, 2 tablespoons of coconut cream, 2 scoops of collagen powder, and as much Himalayan sea salt as you can get in that drink without it tasting bad to you. And it tastes like this orange creamsicle smoothie, and it's so good. But you have your fat, your protein, your collagen, and you have all those trace minerals that are just going to go in and nourish your adrenals in the Himalayan sea salt. So I knew that maybe that was something that I needed to do, so I took that today. And then obviously sleeping in a lot this week, and just trying to listen to my body. But again, knowing your triggers and knowing your history and knowing what makes you feel better allows you not to go, like for example in my case, not to go full-blown adrenal fatigue. So just as an example, I may be having a few minor little symptoms here of like, hey, this is I'm tired, you need to support me a little bit more. But my hormones are so on track in terms of my cycle is on time this month and all these things. So it's not full blown where your hormones are totally out of whack and everything's crashing like it was for me years and years ago. So I kind of wanted to encourage you there. But I also wanted to talk about how, there is always a time and place, and you've probably heard me say this a lot if you've watched any of my videos. Hi, Tina. Where I was telling Patrick last night, I was like, I'm so glad that I've never been one of those people in the functional medicine community that completely alienates and bashes the conventional medical community. And I don't believe that that's right. Like they have, thank goodness for them right now. The only way I can get a diagnosis is going the conventional medicine way. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's always a time and place for conventional medicine. This would be one of them. I think there's a time and place for functional medicine, obviously, because that's what I do as a profession. And I think there's a time and place where both need to come to work together. And so it's just knowing, what are the pros and cons of this side? What are the pros? I shouldn't say pros and cons. What are the strengths and weaknesses of conventional medicine? What are the strengths and weaknesses of functional medicine? And what are the strengths and situations where you would need to utilize them together? So that's just something that, we're really thinking through right now, because obviously we don't know what's going on. And so I'm doing as much as I can with my nutrition and lifestyle. Obviously, I practice what I preach, you guys. I'm drinking some awesome nutrients as we speak. I'm very careful about what I put in my body because I don't want to add stress. I'm very careful about getting sleep, getting deep, restful sleep. Very careful about all these things, taking walks, getting movement, helping all of these different areas of my body, because it's important. But you know what else is important is not thinking you know everything and being like, oh, I have a lump in my neck. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. That's okay. I can just live my life and I'm going to get rid of it. No, you need to go to a conventional doctor and ask them and get a diagnosis and make sure that it's nothing serious. And then you can have the information to then move forward and say, which side do I want to be on, or do I want to use a combination of both strengths? So that's kind of where we're coming at it, but I wanted to update you guys because a lot of you have reached out to me and said that you're praying for me, and I really appreciate that. It has truly been overwhelming and meant a lot to me and my family. A lot of you, want updates and maybe wonder like why you haven't seen very many. I typically update a little bit more in my stories, so it's just easier to do like a little clip like, hey, I went to the specialist today, this is the next step, versus like getting on and doing a full video. So watch those if you want more little updates. But then also there hasn't been a lot going on like the past week because I was waiting to see the specialist. So I didn't really have much to say on it, so that's kind of where there was that big delay here. So I hope that this has updated you guys. I also hope that's encouraging because a lot of people have reached out and said, thanks for being strong or for showing how to get through something like this. And I do want to be honest and say it's hard. And I have had moments where I have not been strong and it has been very emotionally difficult. But I also want to encourage you that, our perspective is that God has a plan regardless of the outcome. And so, of course, it's emotionally stressful, but it also helps to know that I can face whatever's coming. And so I do want to put that out there as well as something that's encouraging because who knows, this might turn out to be nothing, and maybe the whole point of me going through it is so that I can empathize with others and guide others and encourage others if it happens to them. And if that's the only purpose that I have to go through something scary, then that's great. If I have to go through something that turns out to be cancer, then that's just gonna... Sorry, I'm getting phone calls and doorbell rings. Gotta go, bye!